The Midnight Protocol. Chapter 1. The outbreak. The world was thrown into chaos when a lethal virus broke out, spreading like wildfire and taking countless lives. In a matter of weeks, civilization as we knew it came crumbling down. The governments and medical institutions were overwhelmed, and the people were plunged into a world of pandemonium and terror. Hospitals were filled to capacity as doctors and nurses struggled to keep up with the flood of patients. The streets were devoid of life, except for the sound of sirens and the wails of those who had lost loved ones. The virus was highly contagious and deadly. It attacked the respiratory system, causing severe coughing, fever, and difficulty breathing. Those who caught it had only a slim chance of survival. Panic and fear gripped the world as the virus spread rapidly, and there seemed to be no cure in sight. People isolated themselves in their homes, hoping to avoid the virus at all costs. But it seemed that the virus was already everywhere. The silent enemy lurked in the air, on surfaces, and even on people's clothes. Every breath taken in public was a potential death sentence. The world was no longer safe, and no one knew what the future held. Governments struggled to maintain order, but law and order were quickly being forgotten. The world was on the brink of total collapse. But amidst the chaos, a team of scientists worked tirelessly to find a cure for the virus. They were the world's last hope. Their laboratories became their new homes as they raced against time, knowing that every second counted. In the midst of this, a young woman named Samantha, a skilled doctor who had been working in a remote part of the world, is tasked with joining the team of scientists. As she journeys home, she sees cities in ruins, bodies lying in the streets, and chaos everywhere. The world as she knew it was gone forever, and she realized that survival meant joining the team of scientists. But even as she eagerly begins her work, she can't shake off the feeling that something isn't right. Amidst the horror of the virus, she senses that there is something even more sinister lying beneath the surface. As Samantha dives deeper into the team's research, she discovers that the virus was not a natural outbreak. There was something more to it, something that someone had engineered for a sinister purpose. She realizes that the virus was just the beginning of a dark and deadly conspiracy that threatened to destroy humanity. And she was now caught in the middle of it. Chapter 2. The Lunar Mission. Samantha spent months working with the team of scientists, dedicating every moment of her life to finding a cure for the virus that ravaged the world. But even as they made progress, she couldn't help feeling that there was more to the outbreak than meets the eye. One day, while working in the lab, Samantha overheard a conversation between two of her colleagues. They were discussing a deep space mission that the government was planning, one that would take them to our closest neighbor, the moon. Samantha was intrigued. She had always had a fascination with space, and the idea of being part of a mission to the moon excited her. But she also sensed that there was more to the mission than just scientific exploration. She decided to do some digging and found out that the mission was shrouded in secrecy. It wasn't until she confronted the head of the mission that she learned the truth. The mission wasn't just about exploring the moon, it was about finding a way to escape the virus-infected world. The government had been working on a plan to relocate the surviving population to a colony on the moon, where they could start again. Samantha was both shocked and excited. The prospect of starting anew on a lunar colony seemed like a dream, but she knew it came with risks. The mission was incredibly high risk, and every detail had to be meticulously planned. In the coming weeks, Samantha trained rigorously for the mission. She worked on her piloting skills and underwent grueling physical training to prepare her body for the challenges of living in space. She pored over reams of scientific data and familiarized herself with every aspect of the lunar mission. Finally, the day of the launch arrived. Samantha, along with the rest of the crew, strapped themselves into the spacecraft, ready to take off on the historic mission. With a deafening roar, the spacecraft launched, hurtling towards the moon. The journey was long and perilous, with several near misses and technical glitches along the way. But Samantha knew that so much was at stake, and she worked tirelessly to ensure the success of the mission. Eventually, they landed safely on the lunar surface. As they stepped out of the spacecraft, into the vast and desolate expanse of the moon, Samantha marveled at the beauty of it all. She couldn't help but think how different it was from the broken and devastated world she had left behind. But even as they began to set up the first colony on the moon, Samantha couldn't shake off the feeling that something wasn't right. She felt like she was being watched, like someone, or something, was lurking in the shadows. As they worked to establish the new colony, strange things began to happen. Equipment malfunctioned for no apparent reason, and strange noises echoed through the corridors of the lunar base. It seemed that they were not alone, and something, or someone, was there with them on the moon. As Samantha worked to uncover the truth, she realized that the lunar mission was not just about escaping the virus, but about something much darker. The truth of the mission was more nefarious than she could ever have imagined, and she was now caught up in a conspiracy that threatened everything she held dear. The moon was not the safe haven she had hoped for, and Samantha knew that the real battle was just beginning. Chapter 3. The facility on the moon. Samantha and the rest of the team continued to work tirelessly to establish the new colony. But even as they worked, she couldn't shake the feeling that something was off. Strange things continued to happen, and Samantha knew that they were not alone on the lunar surface. And then she discovered the truth. There was a secret facility beneath the lunar base. Samantha, being the curious person that she was, couldn't resist her urge to investigate. She spent days planning and gathering the necessary equipment before finally venturing off into the depths of the lunar base. As she descended deeper into the facility, she was astonished by what she discovered. The facility was not a place for scientific research or exploration. It was a base for weapons development, and the scientists working here were developing weapons that could destroy entire cities. Samantha was shocked and horrified. These weapons were the exact things that had caused the apocalypse on Earth. She knew that if these weapons fell into the wrong hands, humanity would be doomed. But what Samantha uncovered was only the tip of the iceberg. Something even more sinister was happening in the facility. As she continued to explore, she stumbled upon a secret room deep in the bowels of the facility. In it, she discovered a laboratory with an operating table in the center. On the table lay a figure, shrouded in a sheet. Samantha approached the figure, filled with a sense of dread. As she lifted the sheet, she couldn't believe what she saw. The figure on the table was not human, but an alien. But as shocked as Samantha was to see the alien, the military officials standing behind her were even more surprised to see her. They had caught her in the act, and there was no going back now. Samantha was taken captive and brought before the head of the facility. He revealed the truth about the alien, explaining that it had crash-landed on the moon years ago. The scientists had captured it and were using it as the foundation for their weapons development research. But the story didn't end there. There was a reason why the military had come to the moon. They were battling an alien race that threatened to invade Earth. The scientists had been working on developing technology to repel the invaders, and they needed the alien from the crashed ship to succeed. Samantha was in disbelief. She had stumbled upon a secret base developing technology to wage war against extraterrestrial beings. It seemed like a nightmare, but she knew that the stakes were too high to ignore. Samantha knew that she had to find a way to stop the development of the weapons and prevent them from falling into the hands of the wrong people. But as she plotted her escape from the facility, she knew that she was being watched, and the danger was only just beginning. Chapter 4. The Betrayal. Samantha knew the danger she was in. She was captive in the secret base on the moon, surrounded by military officials who would stop at nothing to achieve their goals. But Samantha was not one to give up easily. She knew that she had to find a way out if she was to stop the development of the weapons that could destroy humanity. Samantha plotted her escape, gathering any information she could use to bargain with her captors. Despite the risks, she knew that it was crucial that she escape to prevent humanity's doom. Days went by, and Samantha continued to dig for information, hoping to find some clue that would help her stop the alien invasion and save humanity. But then something happened that threw her entire plan into chaos. She was betrayed. Her closest ally, one of the scientists who had helped her in the lab, had been working with the military all along. He had been feeding them information about her plans to escape, and they had been waiting for the perfect moment to capture her. Samantha was angry and hurt. She had trusted this person, and he had betrayed her, putting her life and the fate of humanity at risk. But she knew she had to keep her cool and think of another way out. She used the information she had gathered over the past weeks to create a diversion, allowing her to sneak away under the cover of darkness. She made her way back to the lunar colony, where she knew the rest of the team was at work. When she arrived, she immediately began informing the team of her discoveries. They were shocked and horrified to learn that their actions could destroy humanity, and they vowed to help her stop the development of the weapons. Working together, they made their way back to the secret base, this time with a plan to destroy the weapons and prevent the alien invasion. The journey was treacherous, but they made it to the facility. Samantha and the team cleverly infiltrated the facility, sabotaging the weapons and intel they could get their hands on. But as they were about to make their escape, Samantha saw the alien again. It was struggling, dying from the painful procedures done to it. Samantha couldn't bear to leave it behind. Despite the risks, she took the alien with her, knowing that it would play a crucial role in defeating their enemies once and for all. Just as they were about to leave the base with the alien, a group of military men entered the room. Samantha and the team were surrounded, with no way out. But Samantha was quick to think on her feet. She used the alien as a bargaining chip, a trade to let her and her team escape. The military agreed to the trade, and Samantha and the team made it out safely. But as they left the moon behind, Samantha had a feeling that everything was not yet over. They had achieved victory in sabotaging the weapons, but the danger to humanity was far from over. She knew that the final battle against the alien invaders was still to come, and she was ready for whatever came next. Chapter 5. The Countdown. Samantha and the team had successfully sabotaged the weapons in the secret base on the moon, but the danger was not over. They knew that the alien invasion was coming, and they had to be prepared. They gathered all their resources, using all the information they had gathered about the alien race to develop their defenses. The clock was ticking, and they knew that the end could come at any moment. As they worked tirelessly to prepare, Samantha couldn't help but feel a sense of fear and anticipation. She knew that the final battle was coming, and the stakes were higher than ever before. The entire team worked together, unified in their mission to save humanity. They worked hour after hour, day after day, never stopping until they knew that they were ready. Finally, the day came. They had received an alert that the alien invasion fleet was on its way, and there was no time to waste. Everyone gathered at the control center, the tension in the room palpable. Each team member had a specific job to do, and they all worked in perfect sync. The clock ticked down, and Samantha could feel her heart pounding in her chest. But then something happened that no one had anticipated. The alien fleet had arrived earlier than expected. They were caught off guard, and the team scrambled to adapt. They had prepared as best they could, but they were still at a disadvantage. Despite the odds, everyone gave it everything they had, fighting to protect humanity from annihilation. The hours slipped by as they battled the alien fleet, the outcome of the war still uncertain. Samantha fought harder than she ever had before, determined to put an end to the alien threat. She coordinated with the team, using everything she had learned in the past months to outsmart the aliens. But then something strange happened. One of the alien ships, the largest of the fleet, began to emit a strange energy field, one that seemed to be drawing all the other alien ships towards it. Samantha knew that this was the key to victory. She quickly went to work, devising a plan to destroy the mothership and save humanity from the alien threat. The plan was risky, but they had no other choice. They carried it out, and after a tense and grueling battle, they destroyed the mothership, and the remaining alien ships retreated, back to the far reaches of space. Samantha and the team had done it. They had saved humanity from the brink of destruction. The tension in the room lifted as the realization of their victory sunk in. But even as they celebrated, Samantha knew that their work was not yet done. There was still so much to do, so much that they could do to make the world a better place. As the team looked to the future, Samantha couldn't help but feel a sense of optimism. They had fought for a better world, and they had succeeded. Now, they could start anew, building a world that was free from the destruction and terror of the past. Chapter 6. The final battle months passed, and the world slowly started to recover from the scars left behind by the alien invasion. Samantha and the team had become heroes, celebrated throughout the world for their bravery and determination in saving humanity from destruction. But despite everything, Samantha knew that there was still work to do. She had seen firsthand the destruction and devastation that had been caused by the weapons that humanity had developed, and she knew that the world needed to change. She gathered a group of like-minded individuals, determined to make a real difference in the world. They traveled from city to city, speaking to people and spreading their message of hope and change. And slowly, they began to make a difference. People began to listen, and they started to see that there was a better way forward, one that didn't rely on weapons and destruction. As time went on, Samantha and her team became something more than just a group of people fighting for change. They had become a symbol of what humanity could be. Their message had spread far and wide, and people everywhere were starting to take notice. But even as they fought for a better world, Samantha knew that there was still one more battle to be fought. She had been sensing something, a feeling of unease that she couldn't shake. One day, her fears were realized. A group of extremists, angry and bitter over the loss of their power and influence, had developed a weapon that was even more dangerous than anything seen before. Samantha and her team knew that they had to act fast. They traveled to the site of the weapon, where they found a group of heavily armed people, ready to use the weapon against the world. The tension in the air was thick as Samantha and her team prepared for the final battle. They knew that this was it, that this battle would determine the fate of humanity. The fight was intense and grueling, with both sides exchanging blows and gaining ground. But despite the odds, Samantha and her team came out on top. They had stopped the weapon, and the extremists had been defeated. The world was safe once again, and Samantha and her team had saved humanity from the brink of destruction. As the dust settled, Samantha looked out over the battlefield. She knew that there would always be more battles to fight, that the work of a better future was never truly done. But she was ready to do whatever it took to make that world a reality. She and her team had fought for the greater good, and they had succeeded. The world was a better place for what they had done, and Samantha knew that it would continue to improve, one battle at a time. She was proud of what they had accomplished, and she knew that they had made a real difference in the world. As she and her team prepared to depart, Samantha looked up at the sky, towards the vastness of space. She knew that there were still mysteries out there, still battles to fight, and that the possibilities were endless. But for now, Samantha was content to focus on the future, to work towards a world free from violence and destruction. She knew that there was still a long road ahead, but she was ready for whatever came next. Chapter 7. The aftermath. As the dust settled after the final battle, Samantha and her team took a moment to catch their breath. They had saved the world, but there was a sense of weariness that was hard to shake. Despite everything, Samantha couldn't help but feel a sense of relief. The battles were over, and the world was once again at peace. But even as they celebrated their victory, Samantha knew that there was still work to do. She and her team had seen firsthand the destruction and devastation that had been caused by the weapons of war. They spent the next few months traveling around the world, working to rebuild communities and heal the wounds that had been left behind by the battles. It was hard work, but it was also rewarding to see the world slowly start to recover. Samantha and her team were hailed as heroes at every stop, and they were given medals and awards for their bravery and dedication to the cause. But despite the accolades, Samantha knew that the real work was still ahead. They returned to the lunar colony, where they resumed their studies of the alien technology. Samantha knew that there was still much to be learned from their encounter with the aliens. As they delved deeper into the technology, they discovered something unexpected. The aliens had left behind a message, one that contained important information about their race and their goals. Samantha and her team spent months decoding the message, working tirelessly to unravel the mysteries contained within. And what they found was astonishing. The aliens weren't invaders. They were refugees, fleeing from a cosmic threat that had been decimating their home planet. They had been searching for a new home, and Earth had seemed like the perfect solution. They had never meant to harm humanity. They had only wanted a safe place to live. Samantha was shocked by what they had discovered. She had been so focused on fighting the aliens that she had never stopped to consider what their motives might be. But even with this new information, Samantha knew that the world was still not safe. The alien threat may have been gone, but there were still other dangers lurking out there in the cosmos. Samantha and her team vowed to continue their work, to push the boundaries of science and discovery. They knew that there was always something new to learn, always another mystery to unravel. As the years passed, Samantha watched as the world slowly evolved. The scars of war had mostly healed, and people had started to live in a world free from fear and destruction. She knew that there would always be challenges in the world, but she was content in the knowledge that she and her team had made a real difference in the world. They had fought for something greater than themselves, and in doing so, they had changed the world for the better. Samantha looked back over her life, filled with pride in all that she had accomplished. The battles were over, but the work would never truly be done. There was always something else to fight for, always something else to improve. But that was what made life worth living, the chance to make a difference in the world, to push the boundaries of what was possible, and to make the world a better place for future generations.